Happy Saturday. I'm coming to you live from my spaceship. Isn't this a nice background? I had bought Jade these so that when we were doing webinars, we could do it from the back office and all of our information wouldn't be exposed. There's actually a green screen one in there as well, and I told Jade that I would only buy it if she bought the green screen outfit and wore it while she was doing webinars. So just have Jade's head like floating around educating. I thought that would be a lot of fun. But let's give a couple minutes for everybody to hop on, and if you are watching, feel free to say hello. If you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, let me know so that I know what timing is best for everyone. And I would suggest that you grab a piece of paper and a pen because we're going to be talking about a variety of different topics. I want to make sure that you remember what we talked about. This is very valuable information. If I do say so myself. And there's also a wide range of people that are going to be tuning in. So I have other physicians that are part of the group. I have some patients, some lay individuals, and obviously everybody's, I know, where, you know what, even if other people don't think we're funny, I think we're pretty amusing. Jade's the funny one. So I've got big shoes to fill. But we're going to be talking about a variety of things, and the level of information that I'm going to provide is going to vary. So please, if you feel lost, don't tune out. Take notes and send me a message because, as many of you know, I could talk about these things for hours on end, and that's pretty much what all of us have right now is a lot of time. So if you want more information, let me know. I'll do, a second live. I will expand on the topics that we're talking about. Again, this is for you. So while we're getting started here, for those of you that are unaware, didn't watch our last video, I am Dr. Jordan Leisure. I own a wellness clinic in the northern Chicago suburbs. And yes, I'm very modest. For those of you that don't know, Darcy was my babysitter, so she has a right to call me out on some of this stuff. But we're not going to disclose either of our ages, so that's for another time, another group. But the reason that I started this group was I myself own a small business. Hi, Marianne, obviously, and I employ 5 individuals. So for those of you that don't know, my sister, Jade Hassana, is our receptionist slash office extraordinaire, jack of all trades. Our 2 massage therapists are Julie and Christy, and we also have an intern that decided to stay on with us because we're so much fun. And Jarrell, you've probably seen him around the office, has been doing a lot. He's studying actually lifestyle medicine, so this is a great topic for him. We might have him chime in on a few things, but there's a lot of pressure right now on those of us that do own small businesses and employ individuals. 2 of the employees that we have, they are head of household. They are, the sole income. So that is a lot of pressure on them, a lot of pressure on me to make the right choices, make sure that, when we come out of this on the right side, whether that is 2 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now, that in the interim they have food on the table, they feel safe, they feel taken care of. And there are friends of mine that don't just employ 5, but if you could extrapolate, they employ 20, they employ 50. So the stress just compounds. And there are also friends of mine that are sole practitioners. They are the only one that they have to worry about, but as well, they're in charge of putting food on the table. And they may only have clients right now or no clients in order to pay their rent or pay their insurance. So they're not even taking home any money during this time. And unfortunately, in the United States, there are not a lot of people that have, that nest egg or have that backup. So what I wanted to do was have this group so that we could all not only, commiserate, have a safe place to say, I'm not sleeping, I'm worried, and that's okay. It happens to a lot of us, even when there's not a pandemic going on. So what we're going to talk about in an organized fashion in the coming weeks is what is stress, what do we need to do in these present times to manage our stress, and I'm hoping, as a lifestyle practitioner myself, that I inspire all of you to make some modifications so that you do not have to be as worried, as scared about your health on an everyday basis. Now, what does that mean? I'm sure that you've heard on the news that those that are most susceptible are those that are immunocompromised and those that are older. And as a geriatric mother, I can tell you that I think that is kind of BS. The reason that the media wants to say that those that are older are more susceptible is because, on average, those that are older do have some chronic disease process currently going on. But again, that is just an average. That does not mean that everybody over 60 or everybody over 70 is going to be susceptible, because there are those individuals that are over 60, over 70, over 80. I think there was just a woman, and I don't remember where it was, over 100 that recovered from this. And you know why? Because she was sitting in a very healthy place to begin with. Again, that's my assumption. But I want all of you to be stronger. So I made some notes, because those of you that have heard me speak before, my brain works in a cyclical fashion. So when I lecture, I do not lecture in a linear form. I don't really follow outlines. I just give all of my information, and sometimes we circle back and cover things that we've covered in a little bit more detail. But for me, unfortunately, that's how it works. So if that works for you, awesome. If not, keep an outline and ask questions as we go. I'm on my phone, so I can see, any feedback, and I'm happy to answer things. If you're watching the replay, again, tune in and say replay, leave your messages. Yeah, she was 103. That's awesome. And that could be any of us. So let's jump in. We are going to start today with talking about lifestyle-based therapy and what that is. I am a functional medicine practitioner. I'm medicine and functional medicine university. I also have a certificate in wellness from Dr. James Chestnut's lifestyle program. So what does that mean? It means that when I attack a problem, or when I address a patient, let's say with a thyroid condition, I don't look at it purely as a thyroid malfunctioning like an allopathic physician would. I look at it as an entire system, and I speak with my patient to find out what led us to having the thyroid malfunction. Now, how does that extrapolate to what's going on right now? All of us want to boost our immune system. We want to be able to not only, maintain our resiliency against this virus, but we also want to be able to recover in ideally as speedy of a fashion as possible. So we'll be going back and forth on what you need to be doing for the long term. And I'll also be adding in little hints and tips, obviously, for some acute surviving this stress as we go. And again, please ask questions. So when harmful signals are removed and appropriate signals are enhanced, cells and organ systems are capable of creating a healthy outcome. What does that mean? Similar to chiropractic. Now, chiropractic is not just a musculoskeletal discipline. Chiropractic removes interference. It's neurological. It allows your body to function as well as it can. So it sends signals, obviously, from your brain through your spinal cord to all of your organs and systems. Also receives feedback from all of those organs and systems and sends it back to your brain. So you're able to make choices. You're able to know, when you touch a hot stove, it'd be a good idea to move your hand away. Or, when somebody gives you a hug, how does that feel? So all of those things, and again, there's a lot more to it, how your heart beats, your digestion. There's a lot going on. But that's what we want to make sure, that all of those signals are being interpreted in as fast of a mode as they can. One quote that I really liked here from Hippocrates was, "Everyone has a physician inside him or her. We just have to help it do its work. The natural healing force within each of us is the greatest force in getting well." And that's what we're going to work on in these coming weeks, is making sure that we are removing interference that may be stress, how we're handling some of this stress. It may be dietary choices. It may be movement. And again, for those of you that aren't in Chicago, we were just on a lockdown, so maybe your access to movement has been decreased. But I'm hoping that we will give you some hints and tips to incorporate a little bit more. Now, I'm going to go over what we use in the office. It's called a lifestyle synergy model. And that means how much interference how much intervention do you need at any one point in order to be healthy, in order to express health and wellness. There are 2 layers of resistance against poor lifestyle signals: physiological resistance and metabolic reserve. So we're going to talk about those 2 things. If you're currently taking notes, physiological resistance and also metabolic reserve. Now, what gets used up first, so to speak, is our physiologic resistance. Now, think of someone that is type 2 diabetic. Let's use them as an example. Now, if you are not making the best dietary choices, if you have a lot of stress, and again, you can see how all of this is coming into play with our current circumstances, because I've seen all the memes about drinking wine and, eating the Girl Scout cookies and whatever. Obviously, we have a lot of stress that we can't control and we don't know when it's going to end. And also movement. Being confined to your home, for a lot of us, we do have the benefit of having a yard, of having some space, of maybe even having workout equipment at home. Not everyone has access to that. Hopefully they have enough room to have space to engage in body weight exercises, but again, we all don't. So let's count our blessings and let's do some movement where we can. Our physiologic resistance is the capacity of each cell or organ to maintain homeostasis, to undergo what it should anyway. So back to that blood sugar balance, that means when you eat the Oreos or the Girl Scout cookies, or when you have that glass of wine, that your body is able to release insulin, and you're able to bring that blood sugar back within range, that things don't go out of range too excessively for too long. So that's our physiologic resistance. If everything is working like it should, there will be some ebb and flow. Now, within the body processes, all of us have that ebb and flow, not just with our blood sugar, but with hormones. And some of things should be an instant change, like our nerves, like touching that hot stove. Some things take hours, like blood sugar balance. Some things take days, like our HPA axis regulation, which we're going to be talking a lot about that in the coming weeks. And that's okay. It should take a day. That's within normal range. We should have a nice cortisol release first thing in the morning. We open our eyes at 6 a.m. as if the rooster had crowed. And then as our day progresses, our levels should dip. They should never take a big dip, but they have a gradual decrease. And that's why in the evenings, we're ready, hopefully, to go to bed, come 10, 11, 12 at night, and we shut our eyes. We have wonderful, restful sleep. While we are sleeping, those cortisol reserves are built back up again, and the whole thing starts over again in the morning. Now, that's in an ideal world, and I can tell you, for those of us that have had some of these prolonged stressors and we're waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, our cortisol is not being released like that. So we'll get into some specifics on why and how we change that. And then there's also some times where these cycles last for a month, like menstruation. And again, that is normal. That's what we should be looking at. I also wanted to touch on, the ability to increase and decrease cortisol when a stressful situation arises and resolves is an example of this. I highlighted. I wanted to make sure that I got that out, because obviously right now all of us are experiencing some of this increased stress. So we're going to be able to really hit that hard and recover. And hopefully through all of this stress, everything that you learn, you will implement, and you will come out ahead. So you'll be feeling even better instead of letting these 3 weeks be extremely detrimental to your health. So we are going to get on top of that. What else? Oh, physiologic resistance defines the immediate capacity of cells and tissues and organs to respond to changes in physiologic need. That's what we just covered. Metabolic resistance, on the other hand, defines the long-term capacity of tissues and organ systems to withstand repeated chronic changes. Okay, so what is that? That is happening when we are having chronic stress. So a lot of the lectures that I do, I put a picture up of a lion and I put a picture up of cell phones because I think that we can all relate to this. Now, our bodies were designed, our physiology, think of yourself as an African on the plain. What should your day look like? Again, your cortisol is working like it should. So the sun rises, you are up, you are ready to go. And this is going to be a sexist statement, but again, close your eyes, think of yourself as an African on the plain. If you're a man, you are out hunting. If you're a woman, you are with the group, you are taking care of the children, you are gathering fruits and berries, and then you come back together as a group. Think of all the societal benefits that we're missing out on right now, or that we did, before. I think now we appreciate our societal health more than we did prior to being quarantined. And then, you spend the rest of your day preparing the meals, maybe dancing around the fire, commiserating on, how your day went. You spend the evening having sex and sleeping. And again, how many people can relate to that? And then you have nice restful sleep and you get up the next day and everything works the way that it should. Now, that's what your genes are expecting to happen. Is that what your day looks like, or is that what your evening looks like? For most of us, the answer is no. So when it comes to the stress and that cell phone and the lion, if you're that African on the plain and you are running and you are hunting and all of a sudden you're being chased by the lion, that stressor is going to come to an end one way or another. So either you're going to be caught by the lion and you're going to become dinner, or you're going to get away. But one way or another, the stress ends, your cortisol, your adrenaline can decrease, and your hormones can continue on the way that they're supposed to. Now, how does that relate to us and that cell phone? We never stop. We don't. Take a deep breath. Everybody now. Here's your break. Stand up, stretch. I have no idea how long these videos are going to be, so people are going to come and go and watch me at a later time. That's okay. But I want everybody, and I'm not going to stand up because I'll knock over my nice display here. But stand up, stretch, take a deep breath. I want you, instead of forcing air into the chest, I want it all the way down into the belly. And let's go on. So one thing that you can do for yourself during this quarantine, or a habit that you can make for yourself, is to set timers on your phones. I have a timer so that I can only use my social media for a certain amount of time. And it lets me know and I have timers on Instagram, timers on Facebook, timers on LinkedIn. And you may find that helpful so that you are utilizing your day in a more productive manner. You're spending more time interacting with family and friends, and especially those individuals that now you can't see. But give that a try and see if you find that beneficial in this acute time. Let's go back to that type 2 diabetic and discuss how some of those physiological changes and metabolic reserve are impacting that individual. When someone is diagnosed as type 2 diabetic, and I don't know if there's anybody on here that has had that experience, if you've been diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, if you have been told if you don't make XYZ changes, you may become type 2 diabetic. But I would like to see those changes happening sooner than when your primary care or your endocrinologist suggests that you make those changes. Because when someone is diagnosed as type 2 diabetic, they've already lost between 40 and 50% of their cellular function in order to create those hormones. So what does that mean? Repairing that takes a lot more time, a lot more effort, and much more diligent changes than if you just, if you're healthy, quote unquote, or asymptomatic, as the allopathic world would have you believe. If you can make changes now, it's going to be much easier. So let's think about that. What else another great example that we can relate to as far as long-term changes is going to be a diagnosis of osteoporosis. So when someone's diagnosed as osteoporotic, usually it's happening in a post-menopausal state, and nowadays they've got great medications that they will lead you to believe will help with that. But again, I would like to see all of the women engaging in healthy resistance exercises, decreasing your inflammation, which is most readily led by drinking diet soda, believe it or not, and also increasing your healthy foods. So you don't need to be drinking milk to get calcium. Spinach is one of the, and dark leafy greens are one of the best resources for calcium. So incorporate those things early on so that when you get to 50, which is typically the reserve cap, when you start losing more bone mass, you've got so much bone mass that it's okay. And if there are going to be some losses and with some of those hormone changes, you won't honestly even notice. So that's what we need to be doing, is incorporating some of those changes a little bit earlier on. What else can we talk about? Oh, okay. So the lifestyle hierarchy. This is going to be awesome. So if you don't have your pen and paper, grab it, because this is going to be some really good stuff. So implementation of lifestyle medicine within a wide range of clinical starting points requires a hierarchy of therapies. So that's what we incorporate into our office. And I even put a little sticky here, so I remembered that we were going to hit this one hard. So what I want you to write down is lifestyle maintenance. Next, I want you to write down lifestyle intervention, then augmented lifestyle intervention, and rescue intervention. And of course, right now, based on the virus, we're going to be talking a lot about rescue intervention because a lot of us need that extra boost. But if you're looking at taking some of these classes in my camp, as healthy coaching and things that you're going to implement after all of this, you're going to want to look at that entire hierarchy. So what is lifestyle maintenance? Exactly what it sounds like. The things that people should be doing every day to remain healthy. So making healthy lifestyle choices, eating healthy, having healthy emotions, managing your stress, no matter what amount of stress you're having, keeping fit, sleeping, basic. This is sort of the foundation of having a healthy lifestyle. Now, our next level, lifestyle intervention, takes it one step further. So that may be stopping poor habits. So let's say smoking, drinking, being too sedentary. Some of those things that we recognize are going to be detrimental to our health. So that's a little bit more deliberate in our choices. And then augmented lifestyle intervention, that's where my favorite things come into play, like chiropractic adjustments, for instance, or taking nutritional supplements. Now, unfortunately, in this hierarchy that we've developed, that's level 3. So that's sort of some intense intervention. But in reality, in the United States, the quality of our food is so poor. And again, our lifestyle activities, so our overstressed, is so extreme that taking nutraceuticals or getting adjusted is not necessarily any longer such an intense intervention, but it's a necessity in everyday life. So if you say that you're one of the individuals that you don't need to take vitamins, you don't take them, you don't think they're necessary, a newsflash, but studies show differently. And I will tell you that you are correct when it comes to supplements that are purchased from, let's say, a big box store, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but the quality of what you're taking is very, very important. And again, whether you're using an essential oil, especially if you're taking something internally, please don't be using the ones from big box stores internally. And even diffusing them, I would advise against it. But make sure that you talk with a professional and utilize the resources and the education that they have to provide you with a safe, potent product. That's all I'm going to say about that. Then finally, rescue intervention is obviously where drugs and surgery are going to come into play. Now, it's my goal that we can keep you away from that rescue intervention if you are routinely engaging in healthy lifestyle choices. Now, back to our current state of affairs. We need to be a lot more diligent and a lot more deliberate in our activities so that we're able to not only stay healthy, but fight off, the current virus that everyone is talking about. So, a couple of recommendations that I had that I didn't want to forget. And again, even though I'm a physician, I, as a warning, have to let you know that you should discuss with your physician before starting or stopping any nutrition. And a lot of doctors are doing virtual meetings right now, appointments online. So if you think that any of this will be beneficial for you, send them an email, set up a online consult so you know how much and what is best for your situation. So, where does our immune system start? 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So what do you need to make sure that you're doing? If you are adding in supplements, you want to make sure you're taking a high-quality probiotic. Now, unfortunately, in Chicago, it just so happened that 3 months or so ago, we experienced an increase in sinus infections, upper respiratory infections. So there were a handful of us, myself included. For those of you that don't know, I didn't take a sick day in 15 years, and I was out for a week with a sinus infection over the holidays. So I went on against my better judgment, but after a week of suffering and not recovering, I went on an antibiotic. So what did I immediately do after that? I went on some very specific probiotics to help restore my gut. Now, this is not your everyday probiotic. This is not a line, which is very popular nowadays and recommended by a lot of GI doctors, honestly, because it's the only one they know about. That's why it's so popular. It does not mean that it's the best. If you have taken antibiotics this winter, you want to make sure that you've taken a probiotic since that has some specific strains in it. And if you want to get into that, we can talk about that later. But that will help you recover. Now, after you've laid that groundwork from being on your antibiotics, you want to be on a daily probiotic that is multi-strained and anywhere from 30 to 100 billion CFU. And that's what's going to help you on a daily basis recolonize the gut. Now, there's a lot of talk out there about having to be on a probiotic all the time. Should you not? And I'll tell you, it all depends, again, on lifestyle. So the things that kill the good bacteria in your gut are stress, alcohol, sugar, processed foods, and of course, antibiotics. Now, if you can say, no, you don't have any of those things, you don't experience any of those things, do you need to be on a probiotic every day forever? Probably not. If you're eating fermented foods, if you're managing your stress, all of those things, then yeah, you're probably good to go. Now, there are not a lot of us in that category. I can tell you, I, even prior to this lockdown, have some pretty serious stress on and off. I drink alcohol. I don't eat processed foods, but I do have sugar. I think all of us have sugar to some degree. So I take my probiotics daily. So keep that in mind. That's a good foundation for right now. Vitamin D. Yes, you should be taking vitamin D. Most of us do not get the sun that we need to, and even if you go outside, we have sunscreen on, you're wearing clothing. So unless you have the benefit of living in one of the southern states where you're in a bikini for a lot of the day and you do not have sunscreen on, so you're able to actually absorb those rays and have your body produce vitamin D. If you're not in that camp, then what you need to be doing is taking 1,000 IUs per 30 pounds of body weight for vitamin D. And these days, with everything that's going on, I've actually doubled that for myself. I take about 10,000 IUs every day. I give Parker about 2,000. I do it in a liquid because digestion starts in your mouth, and that's the best way to absorb it. So that's my vitamin D recommendation. Vitamin C, this is a great one. For those of you that are our personal friends, you may have seen the little dance I did when we got vitamin C in yesterday. It's been dwindling. Our stock has been dwindling because it's so beneficial to keep your immune system up in situations of viral attack. So when it comes to vitamin C, you want to make sure you're taking enough, and most people aren't. So if you're taking a multivitamin and it has vitamin C and you figure you're good to go, that's not enough. You want to be taking 1,000 milligrams an hour to bowel tolerance. Now, what does that mean? You want to take 1,000 milligrams an hour until you start having loose stools or until your stomach starts to gurgle. That means that you've hit enough vitamin C. And the level is different for all of us. You know, it may be 2,000 milligrams for you. When I was sick over winter and I had to start hyperdosing, I set an alarm every hour to make sure I would take it. And I think I got up to like 10,000 milligrams. So everybody's going to be different. So then once you do that, then you can typically take 1,000 milligrams a day as your maintenance dose. But don't start out at 1,000. You want to make sure that you get yours up through the day. And again, make sure you're checking with your physician that all these recommendations are safe for you and your current physiological needs. NAC. What is NAC? NAC is awesome. So NAC stands for N-acetylcysteine. It is a fantastic detoxifier. It helps to boost glutathione in your body, which is the number one detoxifier. So we want to get all these toxins out that are created by our food, our stress, our environment. NAC also thins mucus. So part of the problem that we get, part of the reason that we get these upper respiratory infections, and whether it's a sinus infection or something in the chest and the lungs, is that because of our diet, so dairy, gluten, individual things that are inflammatory for you, that builds up, we create, this mucus, and especially dairy, and I'm sorry for my dairy fans out there, but dairy is very mucogenic. So if you want to do something extra special for yourself the next couple weeks, cut out all dairy. But if we're able to thin that mucus, then the bacteria doesn't have anywhere to live. It doesn't have anywhere to set foot and infect, and then that's where the virus comes in and lays a good groundwork. So we're able to head that off if we can make sure that our mucus is thinner. So you might want to think about NAC for yourself. And then zinc, of course. Zinc helps to boost the immune system. Zinc is also very healing to the gut, and I recommend like 30 to 60 milligrams a day, if you're going to be taking zinc. Also, take your zinc with food. And yes, this does say spine whisperer. So zinc will give you an upset stomach if you take it without food. Those are my little keys. So I wanted to wrap up. Does everyone understand our lifestyle hierarchy, our prevention hierarchy? So we should have written down lifestyle maintenance, lifestyle intervention, augmented lifestyle intervention, and also rescue intervention. And to give you an idea, when it comes to, let's say, back health, so lifestyle maintenance would be normal activity. That's how we're going to maintain our back health. Our lifestyle interventions may be some really specific exercise, flexion training, so that we can improve our core strength. And then augmented lifestyle intervention, which I would argue that this should be lifestyle maintenance, is our chiropractic care and or physical therapy. So that's going to give you a little bit more specific attention on areas that maybe aren't moving as well as they could be or as strong as they should be. And then finally, what does our rescue intervention look like for someone that's not engaging in proper back health, surgery, or pain medication? And that should always be our last option. So again, to wrap up our day, we're going to be covering 7 spheres of lifestyle signals over the next couple weeks. So I laid out 3 weeks of programming. If you want to do more, if you feel like this is helping, again, I could talk about these things forever. But what I wanted to hit on today was diet and nutrition signals. So I want you to pay attention in the next couple days. We'll probably go over a new one of these every 3 days, so we'll be hitting this again, but taking a look at macronutrients and micronutrients. So we're probably going to divide that up into our own little video tomorrow, looking at the energy and glycemic impact of our choices. So again, if we're eating comfort foods, for instance, things that are high in sugar, we're going to feel good for a minute. It's like a drug. It releases serotonin. You eat that Girl Scout cookie, that Samoa, and God, you feel awesome for, 20 minutes. And then what happens after? you're going to crash. So we want to make sure we take a look at how we modify that a little bit. Cooking methods and meal timing. So I have a friend and she is a chef, and I'm going to have her do a video. I'm going to share some of her information. I think she was actually doing one right now. And I'm going to share one of her shake recipes. I'm going to try and keep things fresh and exciting in here. And Annette's going to do a talk. She's also a lifestyle coach and a chef, so it's pretty handy. She's a good person to know. She did our all of our cooking on our women's retreat last October, and it was incredible. We ate vegetarian. It might have even been vegan. I think we ate vegan all weekend, and I don't think people noticed. I appreciated it. Felt pretty good. We're also going to talk about fortification and supplementation. So we hit some of my key supplements for boosting your immunity during times of viral stress. But we'll talk about what you should be taking under normal circumstances as well. And then finally, water. So again, a lot of us have some great habits when we're working. Maybe you take your pitcher of water, you've got your water glass next to you on your desk. How has that translated since you've been stuck in your house? I'm assuming that you're out of sorts. Your habits are much different than they were a couple weeks ago. So please drink your water. You want to be drinking about half your body weight in ounces of water. And, that may vary, again, depending on your activity levels. If you're one of those people that's working out, if you're doing a lot of sweating, if you're, let's say, cleaning the house, running around the house, you may need a little bit more. But please keep your water up. It's, again, one of the best things that we can do to help thin the mucus and also keep ourselves hydrated. All of our body processes require water. So if you're not stressing them out by dehydrating them, everything's going to work a little bit better. So we are approaching 40 minutes. For those that have been here the whole time, you're rock stars. We may have to do a coaching certification. I'm going to send everybody a certificate at the end of this. I hope that you found the information helpful. Again, this is stuff that I love. No, Lala, you cannot drink half your body weight in whiskey. You must not have been here for the previous 40 minutes when we discussed how taxing alcohol was. So you and I will have a private chat. But you guys have an awesome day. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see how tomorrow looks as far as what time to do our live. I'll try to post it so you can hop on. Again, share questions, thoughts, if you thought this was beneficial, if it's way too high-level thinking for where you want to be and you need me to simplify things, I can do that as well. If you really do want to know the nitty-gritty, this is the direction that I think would be beneficial for everybody. I feel like changes are made when you understand why. So what is your homework? Your homework is to take a look at your habits. Are you drinking enough water? Are you taking those recommended vitamins? Do you feel like you and your family are able to cut out some of those inflammatory foods, whether they are dairy, gluten, corn is very inflammatory, soy is very inflammatory. So what are you able to remove? And what I would like to see everybody do and post it here, what's your schedule going to look like for the next 2 weeks? I find that following a regimented schedule is really helping to decrease some of my stress because I'm not all over the place wondering what's going on. So making sure that at bare minimum, you're going to bed at the same time every day and you're waking up at the same time every day. If you're able to then take those hours that you're awake and add in consistent meal times, that will help decrease stress on your system, which will help you to boost your immune functioning. And then maybe you have time you can put in when you're going to be doing some classes for yourself. So improve your educational capacity. Maybe you're having to homeschool kids. So put in time in there when they're going to be doing work or you're going to be doing work with them. Movement, you really can't do too much. So mix it up, do some yoga, do some meditation, be mindful. And the one thing, if you're still keeping notes here, keep a gratitude journal. So there are studies that show that keeping a gratitude journal is as beneficial to your health as working out. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the workouts that I mentioned, but especially right now, I know that for a lot of us, it's really hard to find something to be grateful for. But I will tell you that I am grateful for all of you, for your support, for sharing the group. Because again, you never know. I've had friends send me private messages. There are a lot of us that are really, really struggling right now. So, let's keep it together. You guys are my motivation to simplify some of my education. There's proof that you understand a topic when you're able to explain it to others. Think about that. So maybe you can teach somebody something. So your homework is looking at diet, making a schedule, and keeping a gratitude journal. And it does not need to be a real journal. Find yourself some Post-its, stick them next to the bed with a pen, and write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for. And even if it's that you made it through the damn day, or that your eyes open the next morning, because, unfortunately, that doesn't happen for all of us. So I love you all. Thanks for sticking it out for 40 minutes. And again, make sure you're posting. Did you watch live? What did you like? What did you learn? Do you have any feedback? Is there anything that I missed? Put that in as well. And if you're watching the replay, same thing, right? Replay and a time if you want me to mix these up. If you want to do a video first thing in the morning, if you want to watch something later on in the evening, let me know, because I want everybody to feel engaged. Again, this is for you. I love you. We're going to make it through this, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.